Welcome, Brad, to the show. My name is Liz. Today I invited him on here because he is the title company. When you sell your house and you do not use a realtor, the most important person is either going to be a title company or the attorney. So I wanted to invite Brad here today so you can understand why you don't need a realtor to sell your house. Because if you hire the right title company, you're golden.
Thank you
Brad?
so much for having me here.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. So tell everyone who you work for.
Absolutely. My name is Brad Van de Bogert. I work for Fidelity National Title of East Florida.
Nice, nice. And so I think it's important that people understand why I choose Fidelity National Title is because there are a lot of title companies out there. There are good ones, there are bad ones. A lot of them get you on fees. They don't understand the full process. They don't communicate effectively. And I have been working with Brad and Allison for almost 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I love them. They're amazing because when you have a good team, you will get shit done.
Yes. And well, that's all about it. It's important to have a team aspect of things, right?
Yes, right. So how do you feel about people trying to sell their house on their own?
So I think it's doable. I mean, at the end of the day, getting your house sold, ultimately it comes down to pricing it strategically, pricing it correctly, but again, working with the right team around you, right?
Amen.
And at the end of the day, that comes down to communication.
Yes.
And communication is at the forefront of everything. And so being in the know, being understanding what's going on through the process. So it's once you get under contract, right?
Right.
That's when everything starts.
Right.
And so it's really about, yes, it is a hurdle to get yourself under contract, especially if you're selling that by yourself and for sale by owner, for example. But having that team around you, we can help having that guiding hand throughout the entire journey there.
Right. I do agree with that. When it comes to a title company, what do you think is important that people should look for?
Well, first and foremost, I would say reputation. Making sure that that title company is someone that you have done your homework on. You've seen the reviews, you know the good, bad, the ugly. In addition, they have to have open lines of communication. They have to be easily accessible. They have to be able to be readily available, answer any questions you may have. And at the end of the day, provide that guidance, like I mentioned previously, throughout the transaction. Because there's a number of different things that can come up. And so being able to understand when those things come up, being able to understand those in layman's terms, right,
Yeah.
is something that I think is very important and certainly is something that you're going to need as you're going to be selling your house.
I agree 1,000%. When it comes to Fidelity, do you help for sale by owners understand exactly what is going to be on your closing documents?
We certainly walk them through those documents and again, understand the language, the verbiage, because a lot of those things are going to be not the norm, right? For example. And so we will certainly walk through any questions they may have, making sure that they understand exactly what they are dealing with, what they are seeing on the documents. And we want, again, be very transparent through that, right? That's the biggest thing. We don't try to hide any of our fees. We want to make sure that they know exactly what they're getting themselves into. We provide instant net sheets so they can see exactly what they're going to make off the sale of their house. And again, everything's right in front of them. You know, there's certain things that are variables. For example, like an estoppel, an HOA fee, those things can dictate a little bit and be a little fluctuate. But at the end of the day, they want to see exactly like, hey, I'm not going to come to them right before closing and say, hey, there's an additional $500 charge here on top, right?
I've seen it happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And honestly, that is why I love you and Allison and working with you all, because it is important. I make sure that my sellers are very well taken care of. And I can tell you that we won't name any names, but some title companies around here, they're $600, $700, $800 for a fee.
Yeah.
And you are half of that, and you do better work than those companies.
Well, thank you.
And so I can't rave enough about you and Allison, as you know.
Well, thank you. And I think that goes back to a little bit of how big Fidelity is as a company, right? And I'm not saying that to kind of boast or brag about, hey, we're the largest or we're a Fortune 200 company. But what that does is that enables us to have competitive fees at the end of the day for our sellers, right? And then we do know when you're going through the for sale by owner process that it's something that you are trying to look to save a little bit of money at the end of the day too, right? So we
Always.
want to understand that, hey, we have our own underwriters. We're able to actually be able to supplement those fees down because we have that team in place. And what's great about it too is that we're able to save those homeowners that money at the end of the day, right? But giving them that level of service that is going to be unparalleled.
Right. When a for sale by owner sells their home, I would like to recognize that you all stepped in and helped me throw a mega open house. And I'm not really big into open houses, but I do believe that at certain times you do an open house when there's dogs or you have a very limited time frame, then you can actually make sure that you have an open house during that. And so when a seller chooses a title company, it's important to ask them like, hey, will you help me with an open house? Because any good title company will do that.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that's something that we love to provide. I love to be able to be that helping hand, getting people through the door, having them, have that more opportunity to exposure for the house at the end of the day too. So whether that be helping, create a flyer for the open house,
Right.
whether that be helping create an event out of that said open house to get people through the door. We love to create unique and different type of events. And again, at the end of the day, getting people through the door is the most important thing.
Always.
Yeah.
And so being a seller, you actually get to be able to choose your title company that you work with.
Correct.
Now, sometimes the buyer does choose it, but in most counties right now, the seller actually chooses the title company that you work with. So when you ask for a title company, make sure that you ask them, hey, will you help me? What are your fees? How long have you been doing this? And I actually put them through a test by emailing them or calling them. And if they don't answer, I don't work with them. I don't have time.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason why I work with Allison and Molly is because they respond with me within 5 minutes.
It's freaky a little bit how quick they are.
It is.
I like to be responsive and be very quick in my responses, and then Molly will beat me and I'm like,
I know, she
how does
always
this
says-
happen?
I know, it's true, it's true. But I love that, and that's why I work
Yes.
with them. It's true. Time is of the essence in real estate, and people should really understand that.
Well, and at the end of the day, if you have a question and you're waiting 24 hours, you're just thinking, you're contemplating, you're wondering what is exactly going on. And to be able to have that guidance and having that person answer your question right away gives you that peace of mind.
Right. Yeah, you can't wait 24 hours for answers. No, I'm not in our business.
Not at all.
So I have a question for you. Will Fidelity help if they see something wrong on a contract, will they actually correct it, or will they call for sale by owner? Because normally that's an agent's job and they'll see it, but will Fidelity help?
So we certainly will try to help, right? So we will review the contract. We're not lawyers at the end of the day. So we're not going to be able to advise on specifics within the contract. However, we obviously do this all the time, every single day, right? So we'll be able to look over the contract, see exactly what, if there's anything that kind of stands out within the contract, we'll certainly bring that to somebody's attention. And then and that's again when but we can't actually change the contract, for example. So we will certainly bring anything to light if there's any questions and if there's any kind of things that might be alarming at the end of the day. But again, we will do our best to bring that to the forefront, but that's when we again turn back to someone like yourself and say, hey, this is how we can make those changes and make sure that everybody is, of course, that they're going to be covered and they're going to be situated throughout the entire process.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For sale by owners, instead of working with an attorney, why would they work with Fidelity National?
So at Fidelity, that's our own goal is insuring a title insurance, right? So that's what we do. That is our expertise. But first and foremost, why I love working there and why I think it is such a great opportunity to work with Fidelity is our communication. Again, it's so important to have that communication. We're very responsive. We're always on top of it, making sure everybody's in the know. We don't want somebody to come up to closing all of a sudden have a major issue and then bring that to the forefront. Certainly once we have the lien search back, the search, and we start knowing any kind of discrepancies or any kind of issues, we always, again, want to communicate that in advance. I love that. Again, our reputation is something that we are a Fortune 200 company. So we have the scope in the large network here to really, make sure and ensure that smooth and closing process. And I think our fees, we're very transparent in our fees, and we have amazing competitive fees so that we can keep those fees down, and you're not going to be paying that additional fees for that said attorney at the end of the day.
I do agree with that. I do. Yeah. You are one of the lowest around and really take great care. So I can't obviously say enough about them.
Well, thank you.
That's why you're sitting in the chair. When a seller is actually going to start the process, they have a contract, what's the next step in order to, do they contact you, or how's that look like? What does that look like?
Absolutely. They're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'll put them in contact with our team, Allison, Molly, Taylor. And what we do is actually put them in contact with their own processor and their own closer. So that's going to be the direct two people that they're going to be working with throughout the duration of the entire process. So not only will they have their contact information, but they'll also have mine. I always say that please feel free, reach out to me if you have a question after 5 p.m. When our office is closed, reach out to me. I'm happy to answer that question. Make sure to, again, giving them that peace of mind throughout the process. And then we start the process of running the search. We start the process of running the lien search. We start actually gathering all the documentation. And then once we're able to go through that, then we're able to bring to light if there are any issues. Hopefully there won't be, right? Hopefully there won't. There's always issues. Yeah. But again, then we advise on those next steps. Okay, how can we get past this, right?
That is what you just said. They advise and they help you. Other title companies do not always do that. They literally just give you the commitment, or they tell you, hey, there's a lien. They don't say anything else. And if you don't get it, cleared up, it's a problem.
Yeah.
But I will say, with working with Fidelity, they will help clean it up, clear it up, and move forward.
Absolutely.
And you do not find that in certain companies.
Well, and there's times too, right, where if we can take something off that homeowner's hands, and if they have a lien for whatever example is out there, say they put a new roof on, and say the roofer put a lien on the house, maybe they didn't close the permit at the end of the day. Something as simple as that, but now that's showing up on our title search, right? Or our lien search. And when that comes up, we'll reach out to that contractor. We'll ensure that they can actually close that permit. And if we can't do so, then that's when we will take those necessary steps thereafter and advise, okay, this is how we're going to have to go through this entire process, right? But again, it comes down to, if we can clear that up and make the process easy, at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do.
Right, I agree. Because it hasn't always been pretty on the other side sometimes.
No, definitely
and so
not.
I really I always tell people that I only work with the best, because my job is already stressful. And if you're going to cause more stress in my life, then I'm not going to work with you.
Yes.
I'm going to go with someone who knows what they're doing, takes me through the process, and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And that's important to me.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why I take really good care of my sellers.
Yes.
When you are working with a title company, do you provide a list of exactly who's paying for what in the very beginning?
Certainly, we will. So we'll send out an instant net sheet, and I can work that up. Allison, Molly, the team will absolutely work that up for you, and we'll document every single fee that we have. So that will talk about for our closing fee, that will have our lien search, our search fee, an estoppel fee, which is not necessarily always going to be on there. If you're in an HOA, you will have an estoppel fee. And then, of course, the doc stamps, and then any other pertaining potential fees there as well.
The app that you have,
Yes.
do you allow for sale by owners to get on that app?
So typically how I operate is I will work with the for sale by owner hand in hand, and I'll actually provide that net sheet to them. So I'll send it directly to their email. I can text it over to them, whatever's the most convenient for them at the end of the day. But then that way, because they won't necessarily know which fees will apply to them. So I'll just say, hey, this is exactly what you're going to have, and this is what you can be able to potentially see as you're going to go through the process of selling your home. And the best part too is I can do that with multiple price points, right? So for example, if that for sale by owner listed their house, say at $450, and now they got an offer at $425, okay, what you and I might know, okay, what's that going to bring as far as a potential net amount for that potential seller? But at the end of the day, you see $25,000 discrepancy. Okay, what am I actually going to now net off of this total? And what are all the fees now going to be adjusted to based upon that new purchase price?
It's funny you say that, because when I go and speak to a seller, I actually provide them at least 5 net sheets on, hey, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. If it's 400, maybe we need to make it 375. what if we get an offer for 425? This is what it's going to look like.
Exactly. Well, and to have options and be able to see those, right?
So important.
It absolutely is.
Numbers are always important, and people need to
Yes.
see it to understand it.
Well, and that's the thing. It's, this is arguably the biggest purchase of your potential life right there, right? So it's it's your home. So you want to ensure that you're getting accurate numbers. You want to be able to see, okay, at multiple price points and multiple options, what am I going to potentially be able to make off this home?
What do you think the biggest thing that for sale by owners are going to have a problem with?
I think the biggest thing for sale by owners is just they don't understand maybe the terminology with realtors. They don't understand exactly what we're going to go through with the process of when we're actually going over the title commitment and exactly what all these different things go into it. And two, it could even come down to even maybe exposure of the house as well, right? Mm-hmm. But again, that's why you work with the right team in place to get yourself that exposure, to get people through the door. And then, of course, working with somebody who's going to be able to explain these kind of terms to you very easy in layman's terms, so that you're going to be able to understand it, digest it, and then at the end of the day, not be confused, right?
Right. Yeah. I think with a little guidance and understanding, you can do this yourself. It's not rocket science. It's just a method and knowing exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and having the right team.
Yes, absolutely.
It is. People can save thousands of dollars doing it.
Yes.
Do you think that every title company will help a for sale by owner?
I think certainly you will have title companies, attorneys that will help for sale by owners. I think it's going to be about, again, the open communication, being able to explain the documentation that they're going to be going through. It's difficult because, they will work with a title company will work with a for sale by owner, right?
Because ultimately that's their job, is to close properties.
Correct.
Totally get it, yeah. And I've worked really hard for people to create a network of people that will actually help for sale by owners, because I get it. I understand. You want to save money. You want to do this and, potentially save $8,000-$10,000. That's a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Yeah. And so finding the title company that will help, I've done all the research. It's on my website. You can find out where to go to, who to speak to.
And what's great about it too is that although we are competitive in our fees and we understand people are trying to save money, we do offer a $100 rebate too for those for sale by owners to help them, again, save that cost off that closing fee at the end of the day as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Well, thank you, Brad, for joining us. Do you have anything that you could give the viewers advice on how to pick the right title company, what to do, and what to look for?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you for having me again. But I would say my final piece of advice is do your homework. Understand exactly who you're choosing to work as far as your title company. Understand the communication aspect. Ask those questions. Run those potential net sheets with them. Run the fees. See exactly what you're looking at. Understand where and how are they getting back to you? How quickly are they getting back to you? Because it doesn't need to be a daunting process if you actually have the right team in place to work with you. So if those people are getting you the information that you need, getting you the information that you can understand, and of course, when it comes down to it, of course, at the fees in which that you're kind of looking for too, that's the title company that you're going to want to work with at the end of the day.
Right. I do agree. Well, thank you for coming, and I do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Brad, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Until the next episode, let's build wealth through real estate.